Hi, this is Sarah from sarayip.com, Facebook The Numbers Queen, and Instagram sarayip1111 with my profile on Lewis Capaldi. I am really excited to bring this to you. It's taken me a few months to compile. Shout out to Michelle Worthington for inspiring this post, along with a lot of other Master 33 healers out there. So let's jump in. So this is Lewis there. And that is the album cover from his latest album, Broken by Desire to be Heavenly Sent. Very interesting choice of title because, of course, Master 33s in numerology has the same vibration as angelic. A lot of them have this kind of superhero status where people really look up to them, but they themselves don't really feel up to the task, which Lewis has been very open about. So let's have a look at what his charts show. And I just want to extend my gratitude to everyone, as I said, who's helped me to create this. It's always a team effort. So let's have a look. What shall we firstly check out? Okay, so just a really basic introduction to my numerology system. So it's all on my website, sarayip.com, but I just thought I'd have some fun and draw it out for you as well. So here's a real quick whistle-stop tour just to begin with. And I get that it looks like kids' drawings, but hey, let's keep it light around here. So this is the system I'm going to talk to you about today. These are actually numbers. I like to call it mathemagic. So numerology is basically the spiritual meaning of numbers before they dehydrated it and turned it into high school maths. So let's talk about it. So the numbers do correlate to the chakras if you know about yoga or Reiki, which makes it really easy to learn. So 1, the root chakra, it's about new beginnings, starting again. 2, the sacral chakra is about relationships, partnerships, and grace. So where 1 looks like a tree, 2 looks like a bird or a swan. 3, pair of lips, courage and hope, speaking up and saying what needs to be said, the solar plexus chakra, inner child. 4, the heart chakra. It's where we keep the score. It's where our soul helps to guide us. And this is a little golf hole. Golf has a 4 energy. 5, the throat chakra is about revolution, creating space, being rebellious. To me, it's always looked a bit like the front of a motorcycle or a bike. 6, the third eye, which of course is also Lewis's life path as a 33-6. Looks like a mother gazing at a child, a pregnant woman, or a person with a food baby. It's about comfort. It's about seeing the big picture, non-judgment. 7, and we are in a 7 universal year for the planet. 2023 adds to 7. September coming up is a double 7 energy. So double miracles and mayhem. Yay. Looks like a person about to jump off a cliff, hopefully with a parachute and a sandwich. This is about the crown chakra and really following our destiny, even when it does not seem logical or straightforward. 8, which will be 2024. This is obviously laid on its side to look like an eternity loop. God has an 8 vibration. It's about what goes around, comes around, doing yourself justice, and also reconnecting with humanity instead of doing everything yourself. 9, which will be the energy of 2025, is the big brother, big sister energy. Looks like a big head on a stick, and everything comes to 9. So literally they always attract a lot of authority. That's a whistle-stop tour of the system, which we'll be using to look at Lewis's future, actually, as well as his past today in this little reading. Now, there are some master numbers we need to know about. Master 11, which is my life path, is called the spiritual messenger, also known as don't shoot the spiritual messenger. It looks like a doorway, finding the middle path, and people standing up for each other equals meeting. 22, it looks like 2 swans in lifelong partnership or a heart. Excuse my drawing. It's all about long-term relationships and diplomacy. 33, which is the other number in Lewis's chart, is the butterfly, the 4-leaf clover. It's luck, actually, and it's also about the butterfly effect, small things making a big difference. Some people link it to Christ consciousness, which we'll talk about. You certainly see a few elements of that in the iconography of Lewis's songs, which is interesting. There's also a master number 44, which is quite rare, but you do see people with it these days. And to me, that looks like actually ships sailing. So we better get back into Lewis's chart. Hey, now let's bring up his. So let's firstly just talk a teeny bit about his life path. Now, this is from my website, so I'll have to zoom in. This is from sept.com. So I've got pages and all. The life path with lots of videos and explanations if you're interested. So yeah, I hope you can see this. Otherwise, I'll just read it out. So your life path comes from the sum of your date of birth from left to right. There's a calculator on my site. It's super easy to do. There are a few systems. A lot of them will reduce your life path down to a number between 1 and 9. However, I feel like it loses a lot of vital information like age turning points. So I prefer to add left to right. So if you're flying to the stars, 33s take you far. As a life path, 33 Lewis is a gifted speaker and authority figure, here to catalyze global awakening, one conscious interaction at a time. 33 looks like people talking because of the mouths, a butterfly or four-leaf clover. It's about luck that comes from positive intention and follow through. 33s are the absolute best manifestors ever. I've studied 5,000-6,000 people through my paid work and many, many more through just my obsession with numbers. 33s are the type of people who will say, I need a psychic, and then I'll drive in front of them with my sign and they'll text me, hopefully not while driving, pretty much order me like Chinese takeaway. So they're just the most incredible manifestors. But the question, of course, is who are they manifesting for and what direction are they pointing that thing in? Because, of course, high highs, low lows with all the master numbers. So as with all master life paths, 11, 22, 33, 44, master number 33, which Lewis has, it's about collaboration, not competition. It's about sort of the new humanity. So these people are high flyers who need a safety net. They cannot do it on their own at all. And they very much come to bring people together. So Lewis has returned to Earth to heal his third eye chakra. We know that is about vision and insight and also psychic ability and mental health. Like other life path sixes, which is the flip side of his numbers, he's a visionary. He takes on major responsibilities. These people are called the cosmic parent. So because he has those threes in his life path, that also means he's healing a lot of his confidence, his inner child, his personal power. The positives of a 33 is they're courageous whistleblowers. They're cheerleaders who can turn grief into hope. Lewis is really interesting. His music is so sad. I always cry, but then feel better afterwards. And then his actual interviews are hysterically funny. So you never know really what's going to come out of his mouth, except it's going to be entertaining. That's very typical of the 33s, and they are so charismatic. The challenges of the 33s, and this applies to all 33s that I have studied, they forget their self-care. And really, it's interesting because self-love has a 33 vibration and it is what they are here to master. They can get lost in other people's issues and drown with them, sadly, when really what they need to do is teach swim safety and how to ask for help. So Life Path 33s are here to demonstrate that we get what we give. They had a huge year in 2022. A lot of them are kind of coming back into my life at the moment, needing a lot of healing and rest. This is so typical at the moment. A lot of famous 33s have had some pretty hard hits to their mental health and physical health. Recently, I note that the extraordinary singer Sinead O'Connor was a 33, and I believe there's quite a few singers actually. Obviously, 33 is very prone to fame, and rock star and priest are words with a 33 vibration. They're definitely people that others will follow. So let's share a couple of other things, shall we? I hope you're enjoying this, and I just want to say that I'm doing this, hoping that, of course, Lewis will see it at some point, but if not, just that it will help you, especially if you do have that 33 energy like him, and he really does have such a lovely energy. So what shall we look at next? I think I'll take you around his chart. Just give me a sec while I bring that up on screen. Now, normally this would take me an hour, but I'm just going to take you around the big things. This is one of my templates that I used. Let's see. So hopefully you can see this. It looks like a lot of doctors writing, excuse me for that. But let's just look at the main things. So Lewis was born 7th of October, 1996. And when you add that, 7 plus 1 plus 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 6 adds to 33, which reduces to 6. That's where I got it from. So we know that pivotal years in his life are 6 and 33, which I'll come back to in a sec. I've talked about this being a master healer number. I've talked about a lot of these features, so I won't go over it. 33 is also known as the Einstein or genius number. These people are brilliant at what they're brilliant at and not so good at a lot of other things. Luckily, they're usually quite humble about that, and it makes them actually seem much more accessible. A lot of writers as well have this vibration, like Agatha Christie and Stephen King. This is a different version of the chart I showed you without all the pretty pictures, but what we can see is what the numbers bring to a chart. Now, if you have a look, I hope this works, because, I know it'll be quite small if you're watching it on a phone. You could try it on maybe YouTube to make it bigger. So when we lay out Lewis's date of birth on the grid in this order, so this is numerology basically, and this is personality analysis with a spiritual flavor, what we see straight away is Lewis's numbers are all at the top. That's what he likes to be, you see. So in the mental realm and the spiritual realm, he has a 33 life path, which is logic mental. He is someone who needs to understand things, ask a lot of questions. He likes proof. Because he has all the numbers there, he's very, very fast at learning. He'd be good at teaching. He'd be good at explaining, and actually also often good at making money, because, of course, money comes from communication and creating change. I note that this is really interesting, hey? So he has no numbers in the emotional area, and that doesn't mean he's not able to socialize or have relationships. To the contrary, it means he's very deep and profound. So he's not superficial, and it would not work for him well to churn and burn through relationships. He does make a lot of jokes about being on Tinder. You never really know what's the truth, hey? But all I can say is with numbers like that, straight away, this is someone, they're really loyal, and they may not realize how deeply they're affected by the people around them. So if something would happen that was sad, it could take them a lot longer to process than other people. They're often, quite private. And actually, for that reason, I'll make sure this reading is more about his career, because I do believe there's an ethical responsibility when we create this type of content. This type of person, they say they don't just wear their heart on their sleeve, they're a heart with sleeves. I think that would absolutely apply to Lewis if you listen to any of his songs. Also, they're very sensitive to energy. So I can't even imagine what it was like for him to go on all those plane flights the last few years and just have that constant exposure to all those different vibes. I think it's not that surprising he's had to take time off touring as of the last couple of months for the foreseeable future. These people usually do better if they work and then they have a lot of rest, not that constant grind. Lewis also has quite a few numbers on the physical plane, which gives him lots of, actually a fair amount of stamina if he looks after himself. So what else do we see here? Let me have a look. So just give me a sec. So I do a lot of different things with numerology, and if you excuse me, I sometimes have to move the boxes around. Excuse me. So what we do is, you see this little chart up here. It allows us to analyze the spiritual meaning of names, addresses, words, countries, all kinds of cool stuff. So, I might do this if I was looking at a woman changing her name in marriage, or like a baby, a business name. So what I've done is I've looked at Lewis's name, and what we see straight away is some really interesting qualities. So his name, when you assign all the numbers, Lewis Mark Capaldi, it adds to 68, and that reduces to 14 or 5. Now, just remember, have a look down this chart. 5 is the star in the middle, attracts a lot of attention, brings it all together. So what we see is his destiny is to bring a lot of people together from all walks of life. A lot of doctors actually have this. It's interesting because it's like they can kind of relate to people and people can relate to them. And they're trying to create more objectivity and sort of help people to see both sides of a picture. 5 is the neck. So it's about kind of sticking your neck out, but like I said, also being able to look at different perspectives. Now, the 14 in numerology is a karmic number. What does it mean? Depends on who you ask, really. But in my experience, it can be a past life thing, or even like something in the history where they tend to be quite extreme. Now, 14 is considered by some people to be the sign of fame, or someone who attracts a lot of attention. And I certainly can see that. You can see that with Lewis. So I think the challenge here is that they can become quite notorious, and or they can feel a little bit trapped by the fame, which is possibly, I think, happening to Lewis, or has happened to him. So this is called the rebel, and these people revolutionize whatever industry they go into. But yeah, their challenge is their heart, actually. They can get a lot of anxiety and things like that, which interestingly Lewis has talked about in public. And the way they overcome this karmic debt, so to speak, is to have balance in their lives. And that's interesting. That comes up a lot in Lewis's chart. And I think it's important that he doesn't just need balance. He needs people to support him to have that balance and not always demand that he's constantly on, if that makes sense. Now, his soul urge, this comes from the some of the vowels in the name. This is the type of relationship approach someone might have. And 8 is so interesting. We talked about, that's the God number. Now, these people, when they commit, they're really, really deep. But before they commit, not so much. Interesting, of course, to see 26 there as a turning point potentially. Of course, he is 26 and he's met a girlfriend, Ellie. She has a lovely energy, and that's really interesting for me. When I pulled some cards on it, I felt there's some really solid things going on there. And everything we do for a reason, and Lewis became a rock star. And if you think about a bird, why does a bird sing? To attract a mate. And then once it has a mate, well, I suppose it sings to its mate, or maybe it just makes babies in a nest. And I just think it's so fascinating. Lewis has always said he doesn't see himself singing forever. I think he's quite perceptive in that area. His inner dream is a 6, which again is that cosmic parent looking after people, helping people to have better mental health. So you can see how it's really playing out, hey? If we just go down, I want to show you something, and I hope I'm making this interesting. It can just seem like I'm just talking at you, but I'm, trying my best to also work with Lewis's energy, as strange as that sounds. I've done a lot of prayer, and I'm hoping that this will be, of course, for his highest good as well. So Lewis Capaldi is the name that we all know. It's basically a brand. And so I'm looking at almost like that. It's so interesting because it adds to a 6, which of course is his life path as well. So what you see is what you get. And so that's quite a fortunate name for him. But also because of the double 6 energy, ultra responsibility and a tendency to martyrdom and over-sacrifice. Again, the 25, 26 coming up. So interesting because that's his current age. What else can we see? He's born on a 7 day. Those people are often hilarious. You see 7 sits in the corner, and they're very observant and witty and sharp. They can become like lawyers or writers or journalists because they don't miss a thing. What else do we see? Okay, so when I look at his pinnacles and challenges, so just to let you know, this is pretty advanced. So I'll just really do this very briefly. It's telling me basically his soul contract. What did he agree to do in this lifetime and when? And although it does give us a structure for our lives, numerology does not fill in a lot of the gaps. We have free will. There's so much mystery. And at the same time, it's nice to know the basics and the facts. It can really help us to love ourselves, to forgive our parents, and to stop comparing with others. So what we see in Lewis's life until he's the age of 30, he has a number 8 energy. He will be the boss. 8 is the boss. He will get to play God. It will be about business, making money, being successful. His challenge will be the 6, himself, his self-esteem, his work-life balance or lack thereof, and just perhaps growing up very quickly. And I'll talk about that. But yeah, Lewis has certainly had some things in his childhood, which means he's probably quite mature in some levels and not so much in others. What we know is that he'll have so much change from now, which I'll talk about in finer detail soon, and also from particularly 30, 31, going into 33, a real acceleration. What's so interesting, his career number is a 5, so his true career actually comes from 31 onwards, actually from about 35. So there's a long way to go. And the 5, as I said, is often a type of doctor or healer. Not always, of course, but I'm just so fascinated to watch what he will choose to do with his energy. Anything else? Yeah, sure. So we're going to start talking about predictions. What we do in numerology is we look at the chart overall, as we've done, we know all the main numbers, and then we match it against to what's going on for them each year. My system changes the personal year vibration at the birthday or birth month. Some numerologists change it at January. It's up to you what you want to try and test. That's fine. But when we look in this system, what we see is Lewis, born in October, is currently in a 5-year, which is huge for his career. What we know is in September 2023, which is coming up in a few days, he's going to make some huge decisions that will impact his work life. And that is one of the reasons I'm releasing this now. I hope energetically that this will help him. We'll find out. Can't hurt, I guess. And we then see him going into a 6-year from October, which is, of course, his life path. And it also shows up in his chart as his challenge. So it'll certainly be a year of massive change, the next 12 months for him. And then, in a couple of years' time, there's some lovely recovery coming. And I would imagine perhaps particularly with his health, we're probably looking at a couple of years of him rebuilding his resources there. So let's jump into his personal years, shall we? And it's kind of like a numerology lesson, rockstar bio today, which is super fun. And thanks for your support. Let's have a look. So Okay, so you can see there's a lot of work that's gone into this. But again, I'm trying to make it fun because that is so important in this situation. So what I'll do is I'll show you the detailed personal years, and then I'll just do like a snapshot to wind up this sort of mini reading. And if you're finding it a bit overwhelming with the visuals, just turn off the visuals or just listen to it. That will still, probably work for you. So what have we got here? Right, so I'll just take you on a whistle-stop tour through Lewis Capaldi's life in numerology. Lewis Capaldi, Master Healer Life Path. He is a surprise baby. He jokes he was the result of an immaculate conception. His father had a vasectomy, and I think 9 months later, surprise, Lewis came. Now, what's so interesting is that would have obviously been quite difficult for everyone involved. Lewis's chart does show some stress actually around the time of his conception and birth, perhaps creating some belief systems there around having to work really hard, to come back from tough starts. He was born in Glasgow, I believe, in Scotland. He's the youngest of 4 children. I believe his parents were distressed when they found out they were pregnant because of, worrying how they would support their children. What we see then, if we just move forwards, is that he was singing at a very young age, probably, I think, 4 onwards. And his family also moved at that time, interestingly, in his personal 1 year, which is all about new beginnings. So if we just sort of keep moving, we know that by 6, like I said, he was singing. What else happened at 6? I'm trying to think because I've just done a lot of research, and it can be, all I know is that he decided on his haircut around 6, and he hasn't changed since then. It's a bit of a signature for him, his kind of scruffy hair. He's a bit like a scruffy angel, isn't he? A couple more things. What are we going? So we're still in the childhood. Okay, right. So we can see that when he was, sorry, just give me a sec. So when he was 9, he went through a big year. That's his personal 6 year, and that's when he learned guitar. My experience of him, I've watched the Netflix documentary, which is pretty powerful, and I've read a lot of his interviews and watched them, listened to his music. So he was at the scene of his aunt's suicide when he was younger. I can't quite remember the year, but it definitely affected him. It really affected his mother, of course. Very sad. I have often said that children are the loudspeakers for their parents' hearts, the loudspeakers and also the amplifiers. I feel very much that Lewis and his mother are very connected. They even look quite similar. I feel that he, in some way, is releasing a lot of her emotions through his music. If you listen to the quality of his music, it's so deep considering his age. I feel very much it's almost like he channels some of his mother's experiences. And for that reason, of course, that can get complicated, I suppose, as we get older. I think he's at a turning point in that area. I think that his music style is going to change very soon, perhaps even of next month. And I think that's for the greatest good. I mean, he's a 33 and they love change. They've got the double inner child. They need to feel like they're always conquering fears. So if we move forwards, and I feel like this is a bit of a block of text, so I'll show you the pictures soon, so hopefully make it a bit easier for you. Let's see, if we sort of go to about, where shall we start? Maybe about 2013. So when his career starts to take off. Now, it's interesting, his pinnacle showed a lot of change at 17, a lot of success, and that is bang on the money, because in his 17th year of life, his 5 personal year, which coincides with his career, remember? His name has that 5 energy. It's his lucky number apart from 6. So he's performing. He's got the Hit the Road tour. And then by late 2014, this is a huge year for him, personal 6 year. This is when his manager, Ryan, discovered him. Ryan had been going through thousands of people's music online, only heard a few seconds of Lewis. Boom, knew he was the one. I got goosebumps. It's certainly some sort of spiritual contract between them. Very fortunate one, of course. Now, around this time, I believe he was also dating Paige Turley, who is also known for some reality show things, and she's got a lovely voice. Actually, she's a great singer, but tumultuous relationship. Apparently, there was some suspicion of cheating on her side. She said things in public like he's really terrible with women. Apparently, she broke up with him after calling him revolting. Again, it's always hard to know the absolute truth, but clearly I feel like this has affected him for a long time. I mean, your first love is always important, isn't it? And we know he's got the line of privacy, which means he does keep a lot inside, and sort of, think about it a lot before perhaps releasing it, which he also does with his music. Interestingly, Paige, I've done her chart. She's a 3 life path, the one who says what no one wants to say. She said it was just a matter of time, and apparently quite encouraged him with his singing. And, she really did predict he would be successful, which was true. We move down, we can see in his personal 8 year, that's when he's 20-ish. This is a great time for him in his chart and his personal life, really emotionally, a lot of positivity. He's graduated from music. He's had his hit bruises all around this time. Now, my timings may not be spot on, but they're close. It's hard sometimes because I'm trying to do a huge reading in a short time. But hey, that's the fun of life, setting yourself a challenge. So what we see is, by his 9 year, which is the conclusion of a cycle, he's really hit the big time. He's touring a lot. He's doing festivals. Someone You Loved has gone to #1, which, is huge. I mean, this is just all around the time of his debut album. He later said Someone You Loved was inspired by his grandmother dying, obviously also very sad. Around that 8-9 year of our life, often there are some losses, and it's kind of part of helping us to find our inner leader, our inner strength. So then if we move forwards, getting closer and closer to the present day, we see by late 2019, his personal 2 year, which is about relationships. He's had another hit with Before You Go. He's dating Catherine, I think, which was not such a long relationship, but it's common to date in that year. Then we've got late 2020. We know throughout this time, so he was in a #2 year of patience. This is when COVID has hit. So he's had to postpone all his shows. He's gone to work on his album at his parents' house in Scotland. And that's a lot of what the Netflix documentary is about. And then what we see is, that's obviously, a really tough time for so many people in the world. And I feel like he is quite sensitive. He does have that line of empathy and sensitivity. I feel like there's no question he's picked up on a lot of the stress from the world. And he's sort of thrown that into this new album. Anyway, so we know that he's got a lot of anxiety in general. He said that if he drinks alcohol, he gets panic attacks the next day. He gets a lot of tics. You might know he gets the left shoulder tic, which is the reason he pulled out of his Australian tour recently. As I prepared this reading for him, which has taken me a few months, I've had so much pain. And I believe he has quite a lot of pain in his body. And my left shoulder started to do this. So I thought, gosh, I better get this reading done and dusted, hey, because it's hard, not to feel when you do this type of work. The left shoulder, of course, is all the shoulds. I should do this. I should do that. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing that. left, I think some people associate with the divine feminine. I guess you could also say it's your softer side, your emotions. Things like I shouldn't be so emotional. I should be able to control myself. Of course, there's a whole medical side as well, doing this from the other end, the spiritual meanings. So what else can we see here? So he's been able to come back, once the lockdown's finished. He's done a lot of shows. Right. Okay, so that's around when he's, let's see, when he's 25. Okay, getting really close now to where we are. So he's done a lot of shows, really pushed himself so hard after that time off. He's had a hit with Forget Me. Then this brings us to his current year. So he's in his personal 5-year at the age of 26 from October 2022. This is huge for his career. What do we know? And we know around this time, just before October, he's released a pizza range, which is funny because 33 is a vibration of junk food and people. And, well, the master number of people often like junk food because it's a very quick way of bringing down their sensitivity and their psychic intuition. So it's just like a very quick way of just turning it all off, all the ideas, and it's yummy. He got the news that he had Tourette's, which I think was a relief because he was worried he was dying, unfortunately. That's a long thing for him of having that, what he calls hypochondria, but it's not surprising as he was a child who was affected by sudden death in his family. And his mum is a nurse. Obviously, she's probably had a lot of exposure to that type of thing. So yeah, come back, really a lot of success, but at the same time, the body's showing a lot of strain. Where's he going? So October, which is coming up really soon, he goes into his life path year and inner dream year and challenge. Now, we know last time he went into his challenge year, Ryan discovered him and he had the whole thing with Paige. So I really do think something's going to change at a pretty fundamental level for him, I think for the better. What do we know? We know that during this period, so in June 2023, you've probably seen the clip where he's at Glastonbury and he can't sing. It's very emotional. And there's a million people, when they notice he can't sing, they start to sing for him. And I mean, you've got to watch it. It's really a beautiful moment. And it really just shows you the power of that 33 energy, the master healer who helps people to heal themselves and then often struggles to look at that self-care. So at the last minute, he cancelled his Australian tour, which is when I thought I might do this little reading for him. So yeah, those are the main things that I wanted to talk about. So let's start putting it all in one big picture and wind up. Excuse me. Oh, I've got to tell you some funny things. So I decided to do this a while ago, and ever since I decided to do this reading for Lewis, the most funniest synchronicities have happened. So firstly, everyone I meet is Scottish. Like all my clients are Scottish or have a Scottish ancestry. I also, like the day I was going to record this, which was a few weeks ago, I sat down to eat some pizza. I had a dream about pizza, so I went and ate pizza with my friend, and a Scottish guy sat behind me. That was funny. And then like in the last few days, I was walking down the street thinking, gosh, I have to record this. My left shoulder's really hurting. And an old man stopped me in the street with the kids because I have 3 little boys. And he says, hi, I'm blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Sarah. And he's like, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, Australia. And he's like, oh, where are you really from? You know, blah, blah, and Chinese. And then he goes, oh, I'm Scottish. And I went, oh my gosh, like you can't make this stuff up. So yeah, I've been practicing a Scottish accent. Actually, maybe I'll try some at the end of this, and just to kind of keep myself entertained, because the last few weeks my kids and I have been a bit sick. So let's put it all together. The Lewis Capaldi numerology Etch-a-Sketch reading. Now, I'm not claiming to be an artist, okay, but this is how my brain is. I'm neurodiverse. I have autism. This is how I think. So what do we have? We have Lewis Capaldi with his beautiful scruffy angel hair and his big empath eyes. Basically a heart with sleeves, pizza in the belly. Who doesn't love pizza? And the underpants on the outside, because gosh, does he love to show his underpants, that one. Very funny because a lot of the Superman actors, Dean Cain and Christopher Reeves, they're all 33s. And yeah, superheroes who can fly in a lot of areas and can't walk in others in a way, you know, they really need, like I said, help at the basic level. I know Lewis himself has said, he's found it a lot easier to live at home than by himself. He does do better with his family and support around him. So, yeah, I wanted to just show you how numerology works. It's so beautiful, really. It's so easy to learn and so useful, especially if you do it for yourself, your family, your children. It really puts everything in perspective and so interesting. So we know that the cycle goes from 1 to 9. Lewis started his current cycle, so I'll make this bigger, okay? Lewis started his current cycle in October 2018, and I've done this according to chakras, so I've started at the feet to kind of make it visual. So in his personal 1 year, he had his debut album. Amazing, right? Amazing timing. I personally started my business in a 1 year. I had a child in a 1 year, all before I knew numerology. Numerology is basically our soul's timing. And even if you try to avoid your destiny, you can't. So it's probably better to just find out what it is so you can embrace the change and, enjoy yourself. So in his personal 2 year, which is around the pelvis, it's about sex, relationships, and money. He had this incredible thing where he sold out an arena tour. Like, he set so many records. I mean, he was definitely making bank at the same time, dating. Solar plexus here. So we know that's one of the areas of his life. He's healing his gut. He really needs to heal his gut, his digestion, things like that, his core strength. This is when he had to postpone some shows to work on his album. This is around the time of COVID. He really had to go back and do some childhood healing. This is when he was spending a lot of time with his parents. We know that in his personal 4 year, from late 2021, he's doing shows again, pushing himself really hard. And he said he loves doing shows, even though he gets anxiety. 4 personal years are about doing what you love. He's currently in his 5 year, which we talked about, and it's just all happening. He's had his Tourette's diagnosis. He's, got Ellie, his girlfriend. He had that issue at Glastonbury. He had his next Netflix thing come out. I mean, it's all happening, and it's happening right on time to make sure that he creates work-life balance in his 6th year, which comes in from October. What is going to happen to him? I've pulled some cards. So what I'll do is actually stop that and just talk to you. So I've pulled some cards. Let me just grab them. So let's have a look. What do my cards say? So I feel very much that Lewis's early life has been heavily influenced, particularly by his mother. I feel that his mother has obviously kept a lot of her feelings inside, having 4 kids, being a nurse, a real carer. I think there's probably been an enormous amount of sensitivity she's passed to him and people skills. Like, he's very warm with people. He's really good at establishing rapport and getting people, to trust and follow him. At the same time, I feel like he's, in a way, like I said, been a loudspeaker for his mother's heart, which I think can be a tricky dynamic at times, especially when he is in perhaps wanting to have a girlfriend and establish himself in that area. And until now, I don't think he's had a stable girlfriend, but I feel like he's on the brink of changing a lot of things. Our personal 6 year often brings a lot of commitment in a good way. So, yeah, I've got the 6 of Cups. So no, you can't see it. That's embarrassing, isn't it? Let me try. There we are, 6 of Cups. So, yeah, until now, he's actually come in to do a lot of healing with his own family, which has created a lot of cathartic songs. I feel that at the moment he's had a terrible shock with having to cancel his tours. The Tower card, that's actually one of the cards for this year as a 7 year. So the Tower, I'll just show you again. The Tower shows someone falling to earth. People are scared of it, but it's really just a wake-up call. It's saying you're too in your head and you're thinking about things that are in the future instead of just planting your feet on the ground and putting down roots. I got the Tower card this year when I lost my voice. It's interesting. On obviously a much smaller scale, I lost my voice while recording a forecast for this year. And Lewis lost his voice at Glastonbury in June. Maybe that's one reason I wanted to do this reading. And the voice, of course, is your inner compass. It's the sound of your heart coming into the world. And I think it's easy to lose touch with your heart when there's so many people wanting something from you. So, yeah, I feel like he's a little bit in shock at the moment. And yet at the same time, I feel like he's going to reassess what's important to him, and it will be a really positive outcome. I looked at a few other things. I looked at the energy of his manager, Ryan, and so it came up as the 10. Ten of Pentacles. So there's sort of an ending of a chapter there, certainly a very successful chapter. And actually there's that sign of a woman's touch. So I feel like Ryan's also quite sensitive, but there's that money aspect, which probably has been a good collaboration with Lewis. I still feel like Lewis is going to be exploring other things in his career. He's pretty much at the top in terms of being a rock star. He's talked about starting a band with other people. He joked about making a rap album. He could easily be a stand-up. There's definitely something coming, and I think it will be better for his health, whatever he chooses, less strain on his nervous system. I feel, one of the reasons I say that is I got the Page of Cups for his work life, which is a baby. And, you know, that sweetness of a new life, giving yourself a bit of a rest. I know that he's currently renovating a farmhouse, and those things are the most important. You know, in the end, he's already proven himself. He does have a very strong inner critic, but it's obvious that he's talented and gifted, and there's more to life than always trying to be a top dog. So yeah, last couple of things when I just sort of wanted to sum up Lewis's predictions. The biggest card coming up for him is the Fool. The Fool, the person jumping off a cliff, which a lot of us will feel like in September. A lot of us will be doing risky things that we've been working on for at least 7 years. And like I said, it's miracles and mayhem. So pack a parachute and a sandwich. I can only say I think Lewis represents a bit of a vanguard of that generation he's in, where they have a lot of early success and there's a lot of family enmeshment and complexity. So in some ways they grow up so fast, but in other areas it's like they haven't entirely had that chance to be a child. And I think that's that whole idea of being an adultescent. I think he's very much an ambassador for mental health, and I think he was born to do that as a Master 33. I'm very grateful to have had an opportunity to do this, and I hope that it's made a difference to you, that you'll go away and do your numbers and look after yourself. And I should practice my Scottish accent, shouldn't I? Woo! So I've been practicing my Scottish accent to do this numerology reading for Lewis Capaldi, and it's very, very difficult. But I've been talking to myself like that for weeks. So I'm kind of glad that I've done this now so that I can go back to like having a non-twitchy shoulder and my normal bogan Australian accent. Anyway, if you do know Lewis Capaldi, can you send this to him, please? And it's not about even recognition, but I do this from my heart because he's obviously helped so many people in the world to open theirs. As a mother who has sons, I think it's a very profound bond he has with his mother. And at the same time, I feel like it's time for him to move forwards with his life. So many people are watching to see what he does next. And what I feel is he's going to show us that, like I said, there's more to life than trying to impress others. What it really comes down to at the end of the day is if you can sleep at night, laugh at yourself, and have the arms of your loved ones around you. There's a beautiful quote I want to finish with, and they say, the best jewelry you'll ever wear is the arms of your child around your neck. So for some reason, I keep feeling this child energy around him, whether it's him rebirthing himself or having that simple life or an actual family coming up. Just wish him all the best. Okay, well, this has been Sarah from sarayip.com. And if you've enjoyed this, please send me some comments below. Thank you so much. 333 blessings to all of you. Bye.